Hello, this is Sadie. I wanted to come on and do a video just kind of doing a tarot reading on the events of today, tapping in energetically. I'm going to use tarot dreams. It is February 28th as I am filming this. A little context for this video. I did a weekly energy reading on February 22nd where I talked about this being a potential of the energy for this week. This is sort of the timeline that we're in and the energy that we're in right now. For those who don't know, the United States launched an attack on Iran today, and it does appear as though from news reports that their supreme leader has been killed. Again, for entertainment purposes only. A couple things I want to say before I get started is use your own discernment. Always trust your own instincts and your own guidance of what you are being given above anybody else. That is first and foremost. Number two, I am of sound mind. I would never self-harm and I would never harm anyone else. I'm saying that because over the past week or so, really it's been like past month, but like the last 2 weeks have really amped up. I've had a lot of attacks. People outwardly trying to harm me. I've had a lot of attacks on my phone and my communication systems. Phones being hacked. I changed my SIM card. I've changed multiple things and still having issues. And I'm just getting a lot of suppression, especially on my other platform where it's like I'm posting videos, I'm getting 0 views, I'm getting strikes, I'm getting all different kinds of stuff. So clearly there's something that I'm meant to say that's sort of being suppressed in a way. You know what? It is what it is. My guides are telling me to speak, so I'm going to speak about this and I'm going to share as I am guided. Whoever sees it is who's meant to see it, and that's sort of where we're gonna go from there. Also, again, kind of have to say this for entertainment purposes only, and this is all just my opinion and messages that I'm getting. All right, so where we are at currently in the world right now is the Tower. This is the first card that came out. I pulled some cards off screen and then I'm going to explain how this relates to the current energy, where we're at energetically, and sort of what's going to take place over the next 6 weeks, because there are some significant things that are going to be implemented specifically for the United States. Okay, so the Tower came out. Things are being shooken up. We're in this Tower energy. We've been in this Tower energy for some time, but now there's sort of going to be more active Tower events and more military action. All right. The 9 of Coins fall out in reverse. So upright, this is about affluence. This is about financial independence. Reverse means a reversal of financial security. It also means like there could be a lot of debt. There could be a lot of financial issues on the horizon over the next 6 weeks. Okay, I'm using 6 weeks specifically because of a dream that I had where I was given a very specific date, April 14th, 2026. They didn't tell me what was going to happen that date, but as I was waking up in the dream, I was writing down April 14, 2026. So I know it's significant and I wrote it down as soon as I woke up because I know it's something that is going to be something that maybe everybody needs to pay attention to. Okay. With the 4 of Coins, 9 of Coins in reverse, we have the 4 of Cups in reverse. What's interesting about this 4 of Cups is that, like, to me, these look like children. Okay, so this is an energy that's coming out in reverse. Oh, actually it's the 6 of Cups in reverse. So 6 of Cups in reverse. So that's going to be significant for some of the messages that are coming up for what's going to happen later after 6 weeks. But I will sort of touch on that in this reading. We have the 5 of coins, so 5 of pentacles. There's that financial insecurity, there's that financial instability, scarcity, resources could be very, very tight. We have the 2 of wands. Again, we are in this corridor right now where we're sort of choosing which direction we're going to go as a collective in humanity. Blue door, red pill, blue pill, take it as it resonates for you, but there is a higher and lower outcome to the current energy, all right? Lovers was upright. So again, choice point, decision point. We're sort of right now here, okay? And by the end of the 6-week period between now and April 14th, we'll know which side we chose, okay? We have 3 of cups, which is like celebratory energy, especially in this deck, but that's soon going to change with the 10 of swords, the 3 of swords. So there's going to be a lot of sorrow. There's going to be a lot of despair coming. Trigger warning. This is the energy that's coming through right now. I know different people are saying different things about the current energy. I just have to go by and share what I'm receiving, that this is the start of something big, and you know, the world is changing and we are in those times, and it's not going to be easy or pleasant. Even if we take the higher outcome, there's still going to be some suffering ahead, okay? So 3 of swords, 10 of swords upright, and then Ace of swords upright. So some sort of information, truth, disclosure. What's interesting in this 3 of swords is she's kind of like got her hands over her heart and there's tears running down her face. So when I say that this energy is not going to be easy, this time is not going to be easy, that's definitely the messages that I've been receiving. So let's look at first the financial instability. One of the things Spirit was showing me is that there's going to be a limit on resources. Kind of like back in 2020 when there was the whole toilet paper crisis, and like you would go to the store and try to get certain things and you couldn't get things because everybody was getting them. Everybody was panic buying. You're gonna see situations like that because resources are going to be limited and restricted. For entertainment purposes only, this feels purposeful, like they purposely want to restrict resources and items to people. The other thing with this energy is that you're going to see prices skyrocket for certain things. So again, that's going to put people in a financial pinch because the access to certain things is going to be limited, and those who will have access are those who will have the means and resources to get certain things. So this is not to bring in any fear, but if you are guided to go to the store and like buy extra of non-perishable items, buy extra of like soap, detergent, toilet paper, toothpaste, the things that you use, the things that your family use, your household uses, extra pet food, extra, just extra stuff that you would normally use without panic buying, but buy enough to where if you couldn't get it or you didn't have access to it for like a couple months, you would be okay. You would have enough in your reserves to be okay. It's kind of the messages that I've been getting personally. And that's where this corridor, this sort of time period where we're sort of in between the timelines and in between which direction we're heading. This is a very important time to just like plan, strategize, think ahead. All right. The other thing with the financial instability is I know the markets have been sort of record high, but there's been a lot of instability there. You're going to see crashes in certain areas. Okay. They're not giving me specific areas, but there are going to be crashes in certain areas, which is going to impact the economy at large, especially in the United States. And so again, just be mindful of how much money you have, how much cash you have on hand. If you needed or didn't have access to your bank for a couple days, like, start thinking that way. Start thinking in terms of, if things were blocked or restricted, or if there were outages and I couldn't access my bank accounts, or I couldn't access this, what do you need right now that would sort of put you in a position where you're going to be okay? This is how you have to start thinking. It's very, very important to start thinking that way. All right. For those who are getting a tax refund, this is not the time to like buy the new PlayStation and buy all the other things that you want. Focus on the things that you actually need right now, or focus on having that money available to you in case of, okay? So the other thing is children. Children have been coming up significantly. I've been having a lot of dreams. One of my dreams that I had, again, for entertainment purposes only, this was just a dream of mine that I had recently, was there were a bunch of white buses. They looked like school buses, but they were all white. And they were taking children out of schools and loading them up into these buses. And there were parents like trying to get access to their children and couldn't. So whatever is going to take place long term, now this, for the children, it's going to be more of a longer term energy. What I mean by that is you're not going to see this necessarily in the next 6 weeks. However, what you will see in the next 6 weeks is there may be some implementation of different types of like extra identifications, or they're showing me literally like ID cards, like kids in schools. There may be some switch in sort of like IDs where these would be, how do I want to say this? More of tracking purposes, and not just for identification purposes, but more of tracking purposes. Okay. I'm just going to say it like that. So for those of you who don't have children, school age children, this would not impact you directly. But if you have, grandchildren in school age, or, other family members, this may be something that impacts them. This may be something that impacts their life. You're just going to start to see more, how do I want to say this? There could be more sort of like identification of like parents too. They're giving me the word census. So like more of, and they're going to spin it in a certain way where it's like, for information purposes, we need to know how old are your children, what are their ages, what's this and this and this. So it's like demographic type information, but it's more for tracking purposes. Okay. The long term is going to be that if we do have, and it does feel that we are moving into that WW3 timeline, if we do have that, then high school age children and older would be automatically, like, there is no volunteer. There would be a draft reinstated, but it wouldn't even be a draft. It literally would just be them taking children who are of that certain age and sending them to war. Okay. For entertainment purposes only. I'm just giving you a heads up. this is what I've been seeing over the past like month, where I haven't been on and I've been sort of in my own energy, and I've been getting messages about this timeline. Okay. So again, extra protection over the children, prayers over your children. If you can or are in a position to homeschool your children, that might be something that, if you haven't already done that you might want to look into at this time. Interestingly enough, I'm seeing the rainbow. So again, there's always going to be hope. There's always divine intervention. It's faint, but it is in the distance. And I just saw it and they brought my attention to it. So it's like, there's still this opportunity for us not to take the hardest route. Everything right now is going to be challenging, but we don't have to take the hardest route, okay? And so just have to say that because it's coming through strongly, but these are critical times that we are in. All right. Extra protection over your children, extra protection over your money, your resources, your finances. Just be very mindful of where you're spending, how you're spending, making sure that you have what you need. Okay. The other thing about this time is, like, while there is going to be a lot of misinformation, there's also going to be a lot of truth that comes out. This is already happening, but this is going to be on a larger scale. So again, because there's a lot of distraction energy in the air, it's going to be very, very important to stay grounded and to use your discernment of, okay, what energy do I need to know? What energy is the truth? What energy is just being thrown out there? And what information is just being thrown out there to kind of like pollute the atmosphere sort of energy? That's kind of where we're at right now. Again, April 14th could be a significant time. So now let's get into the reading. We have the Emperor. So this is leadership. Okay. We have the Emperor. We have the Four of Swords. And we have the Six of Swords. Six of Swords does mean an energy of moving into calmer water, but Emperor, Four of Swords, and Six of Swords could also mean someone fleeing, like someone avoiding something. Okay. Just reading it as it is. Nine of Cups is coming out reverse. So this is not going to be a happy outcome. That's part of the energy that I'm picking up. That's why I was tearing up today when I did the daily energy reading and Jesus came through, is because, and this is not a political statement, but the events of today are going to have far-reaching consequences for the United States, but not in a positive way. And so just understand, it's not a like happy celebratory time. I know there's people that feel that way. You're free to feel however you feel. You're entitled to feel however you feel. I'm not trying to change your mind at all. But I am reading the energy, and I'm telling you the energy is that we're coming into some very, very harsh, hard times. Okay. Two of Cups came out, interestingly enough. So with the Two of Cups in this energy, we have Venus symbol and we have the Cancer symbol on this deck. And we have the Seven of Swords with the Eight of Swords. Yeah, okay. So what this means, what this entails too, is like, there could be some betrayal of a current partnership where it's like we're partnering with someone. And when I say we, I mean the government, I mean the country partnering with someone, but there's lies, there's betrayal that's taking place in this partnership, act of betrayal, that's going to get one of the parties sort of caught up in a situation that they cannot get out of, in a situation where they are trapped, where they are stuck in place. What I was also getting, because this is coming out and I have to share this, is there is, again, like 2020, when everything shut down and there was a lot of travel restrictions, you were going to see travel restrictions in a huge way. Just like we had back then, that's kind of where we're headed now. So if you are in the United States, it might be difficult to leave the United States. If you are currently not in the United States and traveling elsewhere, you might, one of two things could happen. You either get stuck where you're at, okay, and you can't come back for an extended period of time, or you get deported from where you're at, you get sent back here, and you're not allowed to leave. So that's the energy that is also coming through very strongly. So if you have travel plans during this period, especially because we are currently in Mercury retrograde, what you need to understand is between now and like March 20th or now and April 14th, your travel plans could go awry. Travel plans could be canceled, especially if you're planning to travel abroad or travel outside of the United States. If you're in the United States and planning to travel outside of the United States, or if you're outside of the United States and planning to travel in the United States. There's something where it's like we're being isolated and cut off, and I gotta cover the butt, right? But we're being sort of isolated and cut off from the rest of the world. That's the energy. I'm just reading the energy. And so it's gonna be harder to move out of the little bubble that we're in, okay? We have Six of Wands, which is a victory card. We have the World. We have Eight of Coins. And we have Knight of Wands in reverse with the Queen of Cups on the bottom. So again, it kind of looks like, although there may be some challenging situations that are coming up for us over the next 6 weeks, overall, there will be some level of like a positive outcome for the world. It may not last long. It might be temporary, because the Knight of Wands reversed is sort of like upright. It's already hasty and impulsive. In this energy, the way I read it is like rage, not being able to move forward, not getting what you want, and therefore sort of like having a temper tantrum or taking it out in a very negative way. However, it looks like a full global thing could be averted in this energy, and it looks like the world's going to work to avert any sort of larger scale hostility. But it's a very tricky energy. They're bringing me to the Jester sort of in this World card, where it's like, it's a tricky energy because anything can happen and nothing is as it truly seems right now. So there's a lot of illusion. There's a lot of deception. Again, we are in Mercury retrograde. So again, that energy of illusion, deception. Mercury is Loki energy. So it's like the trickster god, trickster energy. That's really, really strong. But there does seem to be, again, sort of like a longer term positive outcome. It just may be where the next 6 weeks are going to be a little bit harsh. And the reason why they keep bringing me back to 2020 is because for me personally, everything sort of like halted March of 2020. I remember my kids were on spring break. We were making plans for different things. And then like they never went back to school after spring break. Everything got shut down. And so there's an energy here of like March being sort of this period of strong restriction, specifically for those here in the United States. And then things sort of lightening up after April, after the end of April, or after like that initial spring period, things will start to lighten up. Spirit, anything else I'm meant to share in this video? Seven of Cups, though. There are a lot of illusions. There are a lot of illusions, but with the Two of Swords in reverse, the mask is going to fall off and there will be clarity. Things are not as they seem. This is my, not everything that glitters is gold. Not everything that seems like a great choice is a good choice. We're kind of in this energy now. There is this sort of corridor or 6-week gateway of time in which there could be a course correction that brings us into a higher outcome, which is good. It's good to see that in the cards, and I'm happy that, you know, I was here filming and I saw the rainbow, which is now covered by the clouds, but that is definitely the energy. You know, it's not a coincidence. I don't believe in coincidences. So like whenever things happen during a reading or a message, it's meant for that reading and message. I sat down, we saw the rainbow, but then the storm came in, the clouds came in, it got rainy. Rain is starting to lighten up, but the clouds are still there. So that is a good description of the energy that we are in. Again, there could be like this temporary point of joy, excitement, we won, things are good, and then a downturn that brings in a lot of sadness, a lot of ending, a lot of grief with the Three of Swords and the Ten of Swords. There are leadership changes coming to the United States as well. I will talk more about that in March. And just, again, as always, if you're being guided to do something and you may not understand why you're being guided to do it, but if you're being guided to do something, just listen to your guidance. Your guidance, your intuition is your God protection system. It is that sort of, it's the energy PS. It's there to protect you. It's there to help you. It's there to support you. It's there to make sure that you're good, regardless of what is happening in the world, regardless of what's taking place, that you are good. And so the more that you can listen to that at this time, the more that you will be good. It may not be easy. It may be very stressful times. It may be very challenging, but if you're listening to your guidance, you will be good. You are protected and you are supported by the divine always. And like the rainbow that we saw earlier, there's always divine intervention. There can always be a miracle. Miracles are changes of perception. And so it's sort of like hope for the best, prepare for the worst is sort of this entire message. And I'm sending everybody so much love. I will be on tomorrow morning for a prayer circle, just sending love to the world and just praying that each and every one of you are safe, abundant, protected, and have everything that you need for your highest good at this time. Take care.